Thanks for reminding me, Mr. MacD. No problem. You're the best. Thank you. Division problems can be written in 3 different ways. There are 3 ways you're going to see division. One way is going to look like a fraction. What this really means is 4 divided by 2. That is the second way you could write it. 4 divided by 2 looking like a fraction is really just 4 divided by 2. There's your second way. You might also see it look like this. 4 in the house, 2 outside the house. All 3 things mean division. Board of paper, make sure that is there for your food. It is really, really important to attend to precision for these problems so you do not set it up incorrectly and do a ton of great work but get the problem wrong because you just set it up wrong. Example 1 has a fraction looking thing. Anyone remember my cool story trick to remember what number goes in the house? Lee. Goes where? Because it's living life large, it's like rich, it's a billionaire, it's on top of society, on top of the world, it gets the house. That means the number that's not on top of society goes out of the house. There's another cool story trick for the decimal, hands down. Asher, do you have that story?
Yeah, so the outside is the dog and the inside is the cat. The dog moves one
To the house?
The glass. And then the cat moves one away to tease the dog.
Or to get away from the dog, yeah. And jumps up on the roof. So if you have any decimal outside of the house, you need to move it. That's like my dog Sully. It hits the house, but the cat in the house is really smart. He goes one step away, the same exact amount of moves the dog made outside, then jumps up. Rewrite this problem, please. This is a pretty simple division problem. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 4 divided by 1 is 4. My key was not to get you dividing and thinking about that. I just want you to look at the steps for example 1. If you are comfortable and you are a 4 or a 5, you're free to do example 2 and 3 on your own. If you're a 1, 2, or 3, hang with me. If I cold call you, just look at the board and tell me the next step, please. Example 2 and 3. If you finish example 3, what are you working on after that independently? Lee? Yeah, if you finished A, B, C, and D on Friday, and you look back at 3-1 and you've already finished that, you're starting on the one you left off. So if I'm Lee, I think Lee, you were were you the champion? So were you tied with Brooklyn? Cool. If Lee finished G, he's gonna start on H on scratch paper. So if you're a 4 or 5, you're free to blast off on your own. If I cold call you, just look at the board and help me out with that problem. Example 2 for the rest of us has a 2 in front of the division sign and then a 0.8 after it. What number goes in the house for this one, Katie? 2 or 0.8 in the house? If it's listed first, this is kind of different from the division bar, but it's going to look like that. Anything listed first is kind of like getting first place in society. You're making a lot of money, you get a house too. So the 2 is heading in the house. Make sure it's set up like that. So this is the same thing as that. If you need to fix it, go ahead and fix it. 0.8 goes out of the house. I have a problem. There is no cat in the house. There is a dog outside of the house and it's still going to move. If I move 1 to the right, Braylon, what do I need to put right after the 2 to make this division problem work? A decimal. And he's going to move how many times? Just once. The same as Sully. What goes in between that filler spot, Asher?
0.
A 0. You now have 8 outside, 20 inside. Brooklyn, help me divide. I think you're right. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract 20 by 16.
8 times 3 is
24, so it's too much, right? So if I have a remainder of 4, I'm not done yet. Ethan, do you remember what I have to put after this 0? A decimal and the number? Yeah. Put the decimal up top. Bring down your 0. 40 divided by 8. Can that work, Asher?
5.
Let's see if we get a remainder. 40 minus 40 is 0. If you end up at 0, you know you found your answer. 2.5 is the answer. A few things to be careful of. Your decimal has to go after the 2, even if there's no decimal there. Anytime you move a decimal on the outside, you gotta create one and move on the inside. Last example, 3.3 divided by 5. What number goes inside, Abe? 3.3 or 5? What number gets a house? Abe, which number gets a house? 3.3 or 5? For this problem, I noticed there's no decimal outside of the house. Do I have to move a decimal at all in this problem? Cole, what do you think? If Sully isn't moving, do you think the cat's going to be scared at all? No, the cat's just going to probably chill out and maybe roam up on the house to just keep a lookout for Sully and make sure he's not sneaking up on him. So you're going to have 3.3 divided by 5 look like that. 5 cannot go into 3. Move over. 33 divided by 5 could work. Aiden, what number fits into 33 without going over? 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 6 is 30. You have a remainder. What do you need to replace this with? Braylon, Gabe, forwards. Keep going, Asher.
0.
Bring down your 0. And 30 divided by 5 is 6. If you get no remainder, you got the answer, right? So it's 0.66. If you're not on alphabet challenge yet, get out a piece of paper, flip past test corrections. We'll do those tomorrow. And go to this page. Set up your paper so it looks like this. You should be looking at alphabet challenge number 1. Your line piece of paper should look like that. Alphabet challenge listed at top. Date somewhere in the top corner. You could put round 2 if you want. Raise your hand if you need a piece of line paper. If you were here on Friday before break, you're going to need to look in your binder and find lesson 3-1 to see what number you got to. If you do not have that paper or you weren't here Friday, you're going to start on problem 8 for the challenge. Cool. Yeah. What's up? Can you go?